Buglio, and I'm the Director of Alumni Relations for the Faculty of Applied Science and Engineering. And hello and welcome to all of our alumni and guests that are joining us today for this information session from the Engineering Career Center. Before we start today's meeting, I wish to acknowledge the land on which the University of Toronto operates. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. And today, this meeting place is still home of the many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island. And we here at the University of Toronto are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. So just to let everybody, for those joining us, please drop your company name and your where you're joining us from in the chat. We'd love to know where you're from. The session will be recorded. However, we will stop the recording at the Q&A period. So just for everybody's information. I wanted to share with everyone the reason behind this recording. I, as a graduate of engineering myself, I'm a chem grad from 1994. The Engineering Career Center was a very, very different place. And over the last few years, under Roger's leadership and his growing team, it is unrecognizable what the team looks like now and the work that they're doing. And I really felt that it was a great opportunity to share with our alumni that maybe had previous notions of maybe difficulty hiring or like just had a notion of what it was like. And I think you'll be surprised to see the wonderful growth and things that have happened in the ECC. So I wanted to give a chance to feature this as to our alumni and share this wonderful information. So with that, I welcome all the alumni, and I now turn it over to my dear colleagues, Roger Francis and Justin Manning from the Engineering Career Center.
That's great, Sonia. Thanks so much for the warm welcome. We've been preparing for this for a little while and with some excited anticipation. So thank you to all the alumni for inviting us into your space here. It's great to be working with our colleagues in the alumni office. As Sonia had mentioned, my name's Roger Francis. I head up the Engineering Career Center. The official name of my portfolio is Engineering Career and Experiential Learning. And a really large part of that is the PEY Co-op program. We're going to share with you some information about the changes, and so provide that update on what's happened over the past few years, and get to a point where we're going to invite you to engage or let you know how you can engage if that is of interest. But first and foremost, we did want to share some of the exciting updates and let you know how things have been going. Maybe it's changed since the last time you were here, depending on when you were a student. And I'm joined by Justin Manning, and Justin is our business development lead, and he's over there. We'll give him a wave. Justin and I have been working in partnership to do a number of things to identify really interesting employers in the market, listen to our students with respect to what they're interested in, build really good relationships with our academic departments as well, and just to ensure that we are offering co-op job opportunities that are in line with the student's area of academic study. And as we all know, interest can grow well beyond that. Also to align co-op opportunities with what a student's passionate about and what they want to do. So we've built our programs not looking at students under a particular academic heading. We found that the conversation has led us to really neat places, and I'm sure, Justin, you'll agree that it provided us some good direction in terms of where we should go and who we should be building relationships with. So we're both really happy to be with you. I'm going to go through some of the slides. I'm going to pass it over to Justin, and he will take you through some information, and then we'll get to a question and answer period, and I'm really looking forward to that. So we can move over to the next slide here. Now, this is information that many of us may know in terms of as a university, we rank very well in Canada as an engineering faculty. We currently hold that top spot, #1 ranked. But just taking a step back from all of that, when we work with industry, we do understand that we are representing the University of Toronto. Not everybody necessarily understands our kind of federated university arrangement and what faculties or divisions or campuses mean. So we do when we're talking to employers and we're sharing with them about opportunities to either hire a student or engage with the university. We do like to speak from this particular perspective, let them know a little bit about the institution um, as we move forward. The another thing that this is important for is to represent how we've been working in the past few years. So there are 5 unique co-op programs at the University of Toronto, and we've heard that in the past it could be a bit of a challenge to hire from the university in that regard. You speak with somebody from the PEY Co-op office, and then you're introduced to somebody at the management co-op office at UTSC, and then over to the arts and science co-op. You get what I mean? Like we don't want to be passing people to a number of different contacts from the same institution. So what we've done is we've stitched together all of these co-op programs. So it's a kind of a one-door policy. If you want to hire, if you're speaking with me, you're speaking with Justin, you're an employer, and let's say you're actually interested in the International Development Studies co-op program out at UTSC, at University of Toronto, Scarborough. No problem. We will be able to take all that information. We'll work in the background to take care of you to get that job advertised. But we wanted to reduce the number of people that an employer has to speak with in order to engage with the University of Toronto. So since we're all working together, it has worked out to be a better together thing. The engineering students have benefited, as all the students have benefited from this, but because we've gotten a little bit more organized on that end, things seem to be working well in terms of engaging with the market. And the next slide we have here just really talks a little bit more about, yes, we're doing really well with respect to ranking in the engineering community across Canada, but there's some really interesting reasons that might point to why things are going well in terms of ranking. The first bit of information you'll see on the right-hand side of the screen here is that for the past number of years, the first-year class has been near or above 40% women joining the faculty as students, and about 1/3 or thereabouts of the makeup of the student cohort as international students in first-year engineering studies. The minors have proved to be a really interesting component of our faculty. I think it's just over 25 engineering minors now and certificates, and students really get to put together a bespoke experience here in the faculty by adding on a minor that also celebrates their interests. I think last year it was either last year or the year before, but of all the graduating students, 50% of them had taken the business minor. And so that's really interesting for us to learn of what students might be interested in. But I think our faculty leaders have been doing a great job with designing the program and the experience for students in the classroom. And then, as alum, you may have been a part of a student club yourself, but it's really a vibrant and a wonderfully complex environment of student clubs on campus. And so one of the things that our employers often ask us is, do you have a club for that? And the answer is typically yes, we have a club for that. And there's some employers who deal directly with the student clubs in terms of engagement on campus, maybe vis-a-vis a hackathon or even recruitment. They'll want to connect directly with the club. So we've started this annual engagement opportunity with the clubs. We call it Better Together. And that's where we invite the executive members from each of the clubs. I think last year we had about 75 people attend, but that's so the Engineering Career Center can get to understand a little bit more what's happening in these clubs. And we want to build those connections. in some way, it's often good for us to get out of the way and let these connections happen. So that's been a pretty exciting development over the past few years as well. And the next slide, we won't have to spend too much time on this, as a lot of this information just simply might be known to our faculty, to our alumni who have joined us. But this is essentially how the faculty is set up. There's the core 8 set of programs, and then we've got engineering science that celebrates these really interesting and niche areas, and you'll see the examples there. I was recently on a business trip and met with a company. They were really excited about our biomedical systems engineering, for example. And so it's really good for us to be able to show them this kind of picture, just to represent that we do have a specialization in that. Because, for example, something like machine intelligence is not a part of the core 8, but we really do need to draw attention to them. And so the way the faculty has organized them under the umbrella of engineering science allows us in the co-op office to talk about these various areas of specialization. And as an alum, some of this might look quite familiar to you. So let's get to things that might not look so familiar. So prior to 2020, PEY looked quite different to this diagram here. Essentially, for the first 40 odd years of the program, a student would show up in year 3, they'd pay a registration fee, they'd get access to a job board, they'd apply. If they were successful in getting a job, great, we'd say, see you in a year. And if they weren't, then they weren't. They just join up for classes. But there was very little about that experience that was programmatic. And I think that's fine, and it worked in a certain capacity. I joined the faculty in September of 2017, and my job was to take a look at maybe some things that we could tweak or fix. And then one of the first things I received was this report that was put together by the Engineering Society, and it was wonderfully written, all 30 pages of it. And essentially it highlighted some of the things that needed improvement in this experience through the co-op program. In fact, back then it wasn't even a co-op program. It was called PEY Internship. One of the things that of interest as to it not being co-op, there's a few things that our students weren't able to do when they went out on work term. So if a student had borrowed OSAP and they went out on work term back prior to 2020, the interest on their loans would start to accrue. They'd had to start paying them back. If you were an international student, then that PEY year would show as an interruption in your academic studies, and that had direct impact on the student's ability to obtain a postgraduate work permit. So not having official co-op status was an issue. So we resolved that in 2019. And then we made sure to consult with a number of stakeholder groups with respect to what kind of changes we wanted to make. So we identified 4 stakeholder groups or communities around our co-op programs. And the 4 are the university and everybody that would be on the administration side of things to run the programs, as well as the faculty and the individual faculty members. Then there are employers, there are students, and alumni. And so we had a chance to engage these 4 communities and to think about, well, what should this program be? What should it look like? We also had the benefit of, Ontario's got a really great selection of co-op programs at the major universities. So we took a look at who's doing what really well. And so we were able to piece together this flow, what you see in front of you here. So a student has the opportunity to get into the co-op program through direct access right from high school. Essentially, if you've made it into your engineering program here at U of T, then all you have to do is indicate that you're interested in co-op. And there are some other schools where you gain entry to your degree program, and then you have to apply for co-op later. So we didn't want to do that. And in that first year, it's really about landing here. getting some of your questions answered. The co-op or the Engineering Career Center, we hire about a dozen or so senior students to be peer coaches. And so their job is really to be available to first-year students, answer their questions, engage in conversation, just let them understand what co-op is all about and give them a bit of a heads up on what the experience is like. The official programming then starts in year 2, and there's a series of skills and competency development modules that we take our students through. And you see in some of the bulleted points here, the goal is to build industry awareness. We really, especially for those students that need some more assistance with speaking to people, being a little bit comfortable in their own skin and representing their interest, work on those networking skills. And so we take students in years 1 and definitely in year 2 through this programming. And there's a number here. We have it's just north of the 2,300, but the program's been rather popular. So when before we teed up this new design, we thought we'd get 80 to 85% of students being interested in the program. 2 years ago, in September of 2023, we had just over 98% of students interested in the program. And I think this year, we're waiting for the official November count, but I think it's about 94 or 95% of incoming students who are signing up for the co-op program. So really healthy interest, and which means big numbers going through the pipeline here. So then after year 2, students have an opportunity to go out for a summer co-op work term, and they come back for year 3, and this is the year of the big recruitment cycle. So lots of industry engagement, and taking students through hiring processes, whether that go through the Engineering Career Center or that might be happening outside of the Engineering Career Center. We have a big group of students. I think this number should go up. I think it's just closer to 2,600 students who are in that recruitment pipeline. And so those would be students vying for both the 4-month summer as well as the 12 to 16-month work term, which happens after year 3. So we've got some information coming up with respect to how students have been doing, but essentially students get back in year 4, and it's really acclimating themselves back to the classroom environment. So really healthy enrollment. We're going to share some information with respect to what the yield has been, or what the likelihood of students getting jobs has been. But so far, great attention, lots of engagement from the students. Our team in the Engineering Career Center, in 2017, we had 9 people that were part of the office. We're now at 29. And so we've got student development staff that run the program for these students in the first half of their experience. And we've got another dozen or so co-op coordinators that are taking care of students as they're engaging with the market. We've got Justin as our business development lead, and we just onboarded another business development person because things are hopping, and we actually really need to invest in getting out there. And again, really happy to share this information with our alumni, because ultimately we're really going to need your help in order to continue what has started off to be quite a vibrant experience for our students. And so the next slide here just kind of represents in words what I was mentioning in terms of that flow of students. And Sonia, I think we can share, if you're interested, share this this presentation with our alumni. So maybe we can share this after. So I won't spend too much time on this slide then. We will provide this information to you thereafter, but it just represents, there's a 4-month and a 12 to 16-month co-op work term opportunities. Moving on to the next slide here, this is where Justin and I wanted to share with you, how have things been going? Because there's a lot more students. We've more than 4-fold increased the number of students who are registered in co-op. There's a lot more students flowing through the program. And because we've been able to onboard our business development staff and take a more focused approach to developing those relationships and making friends in industry that align with where our students want to be. Um, we're really intent on this working for 100% of our students. And in 23-24, which is the last time we have the complete numbers, we know that 95% of the students who were in the program and participated, and by participating, I mean they're applying for jobs and they're going out on interviews. 95% of those students were successful in securing a work term. As I said, we are really intent on getting that number up to 100%. In the past few years, certainly since 2020, the youth employment landscape has shifted significantly. In fact, our colleagues at the other universities, I sit on a group of directors of co-op programs in Ontario. Everyone is feeling the pinch. Everyone is feeling and seeing a reduction in the number of work terms and the number of students getting work terms. So, we're watching this really closely. I think a lot of our colleagues are seeing a significant decline in yield. And I think we are doing our best to continue what has been a trend of an increase over the past few years, but we really don't take that for granted. And we know that we're going to need to really keep on what the practices that we've started to build market relationships and constantly trying to make industry contacts and friendships and relationships to bring them in so these wonderful companies can continue to hire our students. Okay, thanks, Justin. This next slide here, this is just a snapshot. When I was speaking with Sonia and Shannon from the alumni office with respect to, we want to share this information with our alum, and our alum could be anywhere in the world. So we thought we'd just put together a map of the few places that our students have been around the globe. This map, I think we should be updating it this year. I think there's a couple of places here that we can add, but this just gives you a sense that our students have been going to other countries to do their co-op work terms. For the most part, we need to tip our hat to our students because they've been leading the way to find these international opportunities. Sometimes it might be a student who is going back home to maybe their hometown and they're doing a work term there. Our students, many of them are interested to have that international experience. So they're applying on job sites outside of our co-op job portal. And so they are identifying these opportunities and then pursuing them. We're supporting them in that, but the students drive a lot of this activity. Now, we, of course, also post international opportunities. Historically, we've had about 8 or 9% of our students who've gone out and done an international work term. A large portion of those students go to the US, but we've got a lot of students who go to various countries in the UK, certainly in Asia, in the African continent, South America, and what have you. I'm currently looking at a trip to Australia as we've got a significant interest in some of the companies there that are interested in our civil engineering students, for example, our mechanical engineering students as well. So just a snapshot to share with you that our students are on the move globally. So if you are anywhere in the world, really, and you're interested to inquire how you might hire a student or be involved with our program in some way, shape, or form, please note that we're really interested in that. And with respect to some of the things that happen in the office, some of the new things that are part of the programming, we have a number of information sessions, and that really is an opportunity for an employer to, just as you see on the picture here, have a group of students in front of them. The employer gets to talk about what is happening at their company, some of the technologies, some of the innovations, and also the opportunities for a student to do a work term at the company. So these have been pretty popular. Last year we did 48 information sessions, and this year I think we're tracking on the 50 information session mark. So there is a lot of company engagement. Now, the space that you're seeing in this picture is a new space. In 2000, it was November 2019 that we were successful in making a pitch to purchase a couple of floors in a mixed-use condo building. So the first 4 floors are business, and so we have the third and fourth floor. And this is our conference room here. And so it's been really great to have space in our facility. It's called the Experiential Learning Commons. And it's been great to have this space because we don't have to go looking for space to host employers. It's done a lot for our industry engagement and really to be able to have various companies, industry partners on site. And so, again, industry sessions, also industry panels here. We had, we've had a number of them. We have biopharma, energy panel. There was a public service and government panel. So those have been really great because, of course, we want companies to come in and to have that audience with students. And it's often also great to have a panel. So we'll have 5 or 6 companies represented to engage students. We are also in this space. We share it with the Arts and Science Internship Program. So it's great to have that diversity of students from across different academic areas. As you could imagine, if we're dealing with a public service commission or a federal government or a provincial government employer, they're going to be interested in more than just engineering students. But we've certainly made great use of the space. I think we're probably, as an engineering career center, making the best use of the space through these information sessions and industry panels. And this one here, I'm going to speak to this slide and then I'm going to hand things over to Justin for a bit. There's a couple of pictures here that represent what we're doing in terms of industry tours. So we've started in the past few years, we've started to take students out to industry. So, we're driving distance from Markham. So maybe there's a tech company in Markham that wouldn't mind having our students on site. We might have a lab tour or have a look at their facilities, understand what's happening at that company on their turf. And it's been a really great way to introduce our students to the industry, and they can actually look and feel what it's like to be in that place. And it's great to get students off campus and builds a little bit of dynamic energy into our student body. Because ultimately, if you're going to go out to work, you're going to have to leave this place and go out there. A really popular tour is our Ottawa tour. So we get a coach bus. There's 54 seats, and we put students on the bus. We take them to Ottawa, and we do this industry tour in Ottawa. And that's been really popular. It's been a sellout excursion. Justin really teased that one up. Has built some great relationships with business associations and various employers in the Ottawa region. I think when I started, we had maybe 4 or 5 students who were working in Ottawa. We've got now north of 40 students working in Ottawa. And really it's awareness. We just didn't know of these wonderful opportunities that existed in the National Capital Region. And of course, that includes Canada and some of the tech neighborhoods there. So very popular. We are looking at a couple of trips south of the border. We're looking at Massachusetts and maybe around the Boston area, looking at Chicago, the California Bay Area. So we are just exploring, areas that our students are really interested in. We are also looking at Calgary. We've really had an increase in co-op work term numbers in Calgary as well. So we want to understand where are the hot areas, where are the places that have great opportunities and are interested to hire our students. And we found that the students are really interested actually to get on a bus and at some point in time, maybe hop on a plane and go to that place and have a bit of an industry experience by virtue of these industry tours. So now I guess I've been talking a lot, but that's what this is for. I wanted to share information with you, but I think it'll be a good idea. Let's switch gears here just for a moment. And Justin, if I can pass it over to you for the next slide.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks very much, Roger. So on this particular slide, we'd like to walk everybody through some of the wage subsidy and funding options that exist to help offset the cost of hiring some of our students. First of which is it's a federal grant program referred to the Student Work Placement Program. It goes by the acronym of SWPP. And as you can see, this is quite lucrative. It actually offers qualifying employers up to 50 to 70% of the student wages to a maximum of $7,000 per individual over the course of 4 months. As Roger had alluded to before, we have both a 4 month option, plus we have a 12 to 16 month option. In either case, that 4 month block can actually be rolled over. So in most cases, you would get full applicability through this program up to that 16 month period. Another option that exists, and this is for employers based here in the province of Ontario, there's a cooperative education tax credit. So for that same student, there's an additional $3,000 tax relief that is available over the course of that 4 month period. And again, it can be rolled over multiple times, so you can have exposure over the course of that 16 months, or if that's what you decide to go with. But when I mentioned same student, it's quite exciting because these are coming from two different levels of government and essentially two different pots of money. They can actually be stacked. So if you're able to maximize both, you can have up to $10,000 of funding available for a single student over that course of 4 months. And we generally find that that would offset anywhere from a third, maybe close to 50% of that gross salary that you would be paying to a student, obviously dependent on what you would decide as an organization. And then a supplementary source is, and this is again, this is a federal program, MyTax, which I'm sure many folks on the phone are aware of. This would apply to both undergraduate and graduate students, all the way up to many of our postdoctorate fellows. And this is to help support some of the research engagements that you would have here within the university. We find that in most cases, the MyTax program doesn't necessarily apply to co-op, but in some special cases it can. But in many cases, we become sort of the conduit as far as those wanting to, sort of enter the university and discuss different partnerships, even outside of talent. So we will routinely bring in the appropriate folks and align with the MyTax option for those research initiatives. And then last but certainly not least is we also wanted to talk about some of the ways that we can help support your new graduate and or alumni hiring. And we leverage the robust system known as U of T Engineering Connect. You look on the right-hand side, you can see that we're 15,000 active members and counting, so quite a diverse cohort of alumni and also current students as well. And there's a multitude of different ways you can really leverage this particular platform and the contacts enclosed. I think that the first of which is the comprehensive directory of industry contacts could be invaluable, whether that's from a recruitment perspective or for other initiatives. And then it also, the fourth point that you'll see on the right-hand side is it also is a platform for looking for new employees and or job opportunities. So in the past, we actually used to have a separate job board here at the Engineering Career Center. We've gone through a bit of a change from a systematic perspective. And with that, we've now adopted Engineering Connect as our primary platform to post all new graduate positions, whether that be for new grads entering the market or more seasoned alumni. And if there's ever opportunities, even from an internship perspective, that may apply to graduate students, this becomes a main platform that we are posting those jobs as well. So it is something that there is a robust number of opportunities and ways that you can connect with alumni and also post those opportunities for full-time positions. So with that, that really summarizes all the materials that Roger and I wanted to share. I think at this point, I'll pass it on to Sonia to help facilitate any questions or comments that anyone may have.
Thank you so much, Roger and Justin. And I also want to thank all of our alumni and friends for joining the session today. At this point, and more importantly, thank you for, it's through our alumni that, we have this wonderful commitment around the world and, to help our students and help our engineering community. So thank you to all of the alumni that are on here today. And with that, at this point, we're going to, the recording is going to stop, and we will open it up for any question, for a Q&A period. So